Heavy rain pounded on the rooftops of the small village. The wind howled through the narrow streets, bending the trees until their branches scraped against the ground. Lightning split the sky in jagged streaks, illuminating the drenched mud paths and the trembling leaves. Raindrops struck the window panes like 1,000 tiny drums, creating a chaotic rhythm that echoed through the empty house. Inside, Ian pressed his palms against the cold glass, watching the storm with wide eyes. Each clap of thunder shook the walls, reverberating through his chest. He felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. Outside, the river swelled, its water frothing and rushing with a furious speed. The villagers had already gone indoors, leaving the streets eerily empty except for the relentless rain. Ian heard the low creak of the old wooden gate swinging in the wind. He imagined someone, or something, lurking in the shadows beyond the garden. The power flickered, then went out, plunging the house into a black silence. Ian's heartbeat quickened. He reached for the candle on the table, lighting it with trembling fingers. The small flame fought against the dark, casting tall, wavering shadows on the walls. Outside, a tree bent under the force of the storm, its roots struggling to hold onto the soil. Suddenly, a flash of lightning revealed a figure standing at the edge of the field. Ian froze, his breath caught in his throat. The figure did not move, did not blink, only watched him through the rain. Thunder cracked loudly, closer than before, making him flinch. The figure was gone when he blinked, as if it had vanished into the storm. Ian told himself it was his imagination, a trick of the rain and shadows. Yet the feeling of being watched did not leave him. The candle flickered violently as the wind found its way through the broken window frame. Raindrops spattered across the floor, cold and sudden. Ian turned toward the door. Something heavy fell with a crash outside, startling him so much that he stumbled backward. He forced himself to peek through the window. The garden was empty, except for the shaking branches and the pouring rain. Then he saw the footprints in the mud, leading toward the riverbank. They were not his own. The storm roared louder, drowning out every other sound. Ian felt the air thicken around him, heavy and oppressive. He could hear whispers carried by the wind, indistinct but urgent. The river churned, waves slapping against the banks with a fury that made him step back. Lightning struck a tree near the river, splintering it in a blinding explosion. The smell of wet earth and burning wood filled the air. Ian's heart raced as he realized the footprints now led to the edge of the house. The whispers grew louder, sharper, almost calling his name. He gripped the candle tighter, the wax dripping onto his hand. The shadows on the wall began to move unnaturally, stretching and twisting as if alive. A sudden gust slammed the door open, sending the candle tumbling to the floor. Flames licked at the wood, tiny but bright against the darkness. Ian backed away, pressed against the wall, his eyes scanning for the figure he had seen. The wind carried a low, guttural laugh, chilling him to the bone. He realized the figure was inside now, somewhere in the dark corners of the house. The storm raged on, unrelenting, matching the panic rising in his chest. Every shadow seemed to reach toward him, every sound magnified by the storm outside. A crack of lightning illuminated the figure, standing silently at the top of the stairs. Ian froze, unable to move, unable to breathe. The figure took a single step forward, and the floorboards groaned under its weight. The candle went out. Darkness swallowed the room, leaving only the sound of rain, thunder, and the slow, deliberate footsteps descending toward him. Ian pressed his back against the wall, his heart hammering so loudly it drowned out even the storm. The footsteps slowed, then stopped. A chilling silence filled the room, broken only by the hiss of rain against the roof. He strained his ears, but there was no sound of breathing. The darkness felt thick, almost tangible, pressing against his skin. Ian wanted to scream, but his voice would not come. Lightning illuminated the room again, and in that brief flash, he saw the figure clearly. It was tall, impossibly thin, with eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. Its head tilted unnaturally, as if examining him. The candle had fallen, leaving a faint smell of wax and smoke, but no light. The figure moved closer, gliding rather than walking. Ian stumbled backward, his hand brushing against the table. The table wobbled, and a glass tipped over, shattering on the floor. The sound cracked like a gunshot in the quiet room. The figure flinched, or maybe it was startled, but it did not retreat. Its eyes remained locked on Ian, piercing through the darkness. Outside, the rain intensified, slashing against the windows like knives. The wind tore at the roof, rattling loose tiles and sending a deafening roar through the house. Ian knew he could not stay still. He darted toward the staircase, thinking to escape, but the figure moved faster. Its presence filled the room, an overwhelming force that made the air heavy. The whispers returned, louder now, filling his mind with words he could not understand. Ian's legs trembled as he climbed the stairs, each step creaking under his weight. Lightning struck again, illuminating the hallway. The figure stood at the far end, blocking his path. Ian's chest burned with panic. He could feel the cold radiating from it, seeping into his bones. The whispers turned into a harsh, guttural chant. The walls seemed to pulse, alive with the storm's energy. Ian's fingers fumbled over the doorknob at the end of the hall. He twisted it and pushed the door open, but the room inside was empty. Just as relief began to creep in, the door slammed shut behind him. He spun around, pressing against the door, but it would not budge. The candlelight returned with a sudden gust from the window, flickering against the walls. The figure appeared in the reflection on the glass, standing silently in the hallway. Ian realized he could not see it directly, only its reflection. He felt trapped, the walls closing in with every heartbeat. The storm outside reached a terrifying crescendo. Thunder shook the entire house, and a deafening crack split the sky. The windows rattled violently, rain pouring in through the cracks. Ian dropped to the floor, covering his head. The whispers became screams, echoing in his mind. The figure moved closer in the reflection, step by step. He forced himself to stand, trembling, and faced the mirror. The figure's eyes glowed, fixed on him with a malevolent intensity. Ian felt a cold hand brush his shoulder, though the room was empty. He spun around, but no one was there. The candle guttered, and darkness returned, more complete than before. The whispers were gone, replaced by a low, continuous growl. Ian realized the growl was coming from the walls themselves. The floor beneath him shivered, as if alive. Lightning flashed one last time, and he saw the figure closer than ever. It stretched impossibly, looming over him, its face only inches away. Ian's breath caught in his throat. The storm outside seemed to pause, as if holding its breath. The figure leaned down and whispered in a voice that was both human and not, chilling him to the core. Ian stumbled backward, his mind screaming to flee. The door burst open with a gust of wind, and rain flooded the room. The figure hesitated, then vanished, leaving only the sound of water dripping and the storm raging outside. Ian sank to the floor, soaked, shivering, heart pounding. The house was silent now, except for the relentless rain. He dared to breathe again, but the sense of being watched lingered. Outside, the river roared, carrying away broken branches and debris. Lightning streaked across the sky one final time, revealing footprints in the mud that led straight to the house. Ian stared at them, frozen. They were fresh. They stopped at the doorstep. And there were no footprints leading away. The storm continued, but Ian knew he was not alone. Something remained in the house, hidden in the shadows. And it was waiting. Ian stayed frozen in place, watching the footprints at the doorstep. The rain slowed, a gentle drizzle replacing the violent downpour. Lightning became rare flickers in the distance, and the wind softened into whispers. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his racing heart. The shadows in the room seemed less menacing now, though the sense of being watched lingered. Ian stepped toward the door cautiously. He opened it slowly, the hinges creaking like a soft sigh. The footprints in the mud ended at the threshold. Outside, the village looked peaceful, as if the storm had never happened. The river still flowed, but calmly, reflecting the pale light of dawn. Ian knelt and touched the muddy footprints. They were wet, but they led nowhere beyond the doorway. A soft breeze brushed against his face, carrying the faint scent of rain and earth. He realized the figure had not followed him. For the first time, he allowed himself to relax slightly. The candle flickered back to life, illuminating the room with a warm glow. Ian sat on the floor, listening to the gentle dripping of rain from the roof. He wondered if what he had seen was real, or just a shadow born of fear. Yet a shiver ran down his spine as he felt the lingering presence in the air. It was gone, but not entirely. He stood, looking out the window at the quiet village. The trees swayed softly, the river shimmered in the morning light, and the world seemed to breathe again. Ian knew the storm had passed, but the memory of the figure, of the whispers and glowing eyes, would stay with him forever. He closed the door gently, locking it, and stepped back. The house was silent now, calm. For the first time that night, Ian allowed himself a small smile. The storm had ended, and he had survived. But sometimes, when the wind carries the scent of rain, he swears he can still feel those eyes watching him from the shadows. And a small part of him knows, some mysteries never leave.